Good evening, everyone. It's 7 p.m. and I'll call this public hearing to order. It's Tuesday, November the 5th. I would like to thank all members of the public that are in attendance this evening and welcome them to this public hearing. I would also like to thank all the members of the staff that are here. For the information's sake, for the minutes, I would like to declare that all members of council are present for this public hearing. And for information's sake, those listening or watching online, there will be a 10-second delay before results will be displayed. I note that the Municipal Government Act deems that those council members that are not in attendance at a public hearing are ineligible to vote on the issue when it comes before council at the upcoming council meeting. Although that wouldn't include tonight because fortunately we have 100% turnout. In a public hearing, the council's role is to hear the staff presentation as well as comments from the public on the file and the information presented. There will be no debate. However, any member of council may ask questions of clarification of either staff or of the public. There is only one item of business this evening. We have an application to amend the land use bylaw to add existing uses to the list of permitted uses within the comprehensive neighborhood development R5 zone, and it is file number 24-05. Perry Bowman, Municipal Planner, will be presenting. Ms. Bowman, I turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If anyone can't hear me at any point, please just raise your hand or give me a wave. Thank you for the introduction and welcome everyone to your first public hearing. So as the Mayor stated, we are here tonight to consider a land use bylaw text amendment application to permit existing uses in the comprehensive neighbourhood development R5 zone. So just to recap what the Mayor has said, the purpose of the public hearing is to allow the councillors to ask any questions of clarification on the application and to give affected property owners or members of the public a fair chance to be heard. In terms of process for public hearings, there is the presentation from the planner. There is then an opportunity for councillors to ask any questions of clarification through the Mayor. And then after that, there is an opportunity for members of the public to speak to council, as along with an opportunity for councillors to ask any further questions of clarification. And if in the case that the applicant wishes to, they also may present to council. And then things to know for councillors, there is no debate as part of the public hearing. Only questions of clarification can be asked. Only councillors present at the public hearing can vote on the motion at the subsequent council meeting. No new information can be introduced during the council meeting following the public hearing. And for the public, after approaching the microphone, please just state your name and your place of residence for the record. And presentations can be a maximum of 5 minutes in length. Okay, so as the title slide stated, we are here to consider a text amendment. So a text amendment is something that will impact all of the R5 land county-wide, but we do have a basis for this application, and that site is 1386 Lockhart Mountain Road in Colebrook, which is located in the approximate location of the red circle. So just to give a bit of history on this application, we had a public information meeting on the 30th of April 2024. Approximately 10 members of the public were in attendance at that meeting. A question of clarification was raised, but no concerns were brought up in regards to the text amendment. Following the public information meeting, I did receive a number of phone calls and emails. The main concerns in those emails and phone calls were in regard to potential future development. There was nothing no concerns raised in regard to the text amendment as proposed. The application was presented to the Planning Advisory Committee on the 10th of September, and they forwarded a positive recommendation to the full Municipal Council at first reading on October 1st. So prior to tonight's public hearing, properties within 500 feet of the application were notified, along with all villages within the municipality. So a few definitions to hopefully help ease us through this evening is existing means any use, structure, lot line, or other referenced item that legally exists on the date of the adoption of this bylaw, which was November 21st, 2019. And a personal horse operation means the buildings and outdoor areas used to shelter, raise, feed, and ride horses for the private use of the owner of the property, and includes the barns, megadome, stables, storage areas, paddocks, and grazing fields. So, again, our proposal for this evening is to add existing uses as a permitted use under the Comprehensive Neighbourhood Development Zone. This will apply county-wide, but I will give some context and history to this site so that we can hopefully understand why this application has come to be. So, in 2008, the development agreement for a personal horse operation was entered into on 1386 Lockhart Mountain Road. The development agreement was required to permit a use on the land which was not permitted under the zoning at the time. The registered development agreement legalised the use of the personal horse operation and the structures on the land. The dwelling was permitted as of right under the previous R2 zoning. So all uses and structures were legal after the registration of the development agreement in 2008. So the reason for the discussion I've just mentioned was that the landowner is elderly and is estate planning. She would like to subdivide the land in a manner not currently permitted by the existing development agreement. And so the proposed text amendment would ensure that the existing uses on the land are permitted under the current R5 zone if the development agreement was to be discharged for the purposes of subdivision. So I will note that the discharge of a development agreement is no longer a process that requires council approval. The CAO has authority to sign off on development agreements, which is why it is not part of the motion which you'll be voting on later. So this is an aerial image of the site. I guess just to give you a visual understanding of what I'm discussing. So we have the existing dwelling, and then we have the existing barn and mega dome on the site. So again, to kind of try and bring together the entirety of this story, this is the site as it currently looks in terms of zoning. It's covered by 4 different zones. We have the residential 1 and 2 unit zone on this western side of the property. We have the residential mixed density zone, or R3 zone, in yellow at the top. We have the comprehensive neighbourhood development zone in purple on the eastern side of the property. And then we have the rural mixed use A2 zone to the south of the property. So currently, and I will show this on the next slide, the house and stables and barn is all located within the area of the R5 zone. Okay, so this, I guess, dark grey area outlines the area of the site that's currently affected by the development agreement. This grey outline area is also the area of the site, or the boundaries prescribed by the development agreement for subdivision. So in the event that the subdivision was undertaken as it currently is allowed under the development agreement, this is the only option for subdividing this portion of the site out. So our applicant / owner has advised that they are looking to subdivide in a different manner so as to be able to deed the land to their children in the future. So again, a little bit more history. Prior to the 21st of November 2019, the area of the site where the dwelling is located was zoned in the residential 1 and 2 unit zone, which permitted 1 unit dwellings as of right. And the personal horse operation was permitted under the development agreement. The R5 zone, which is this purple area, which now covers the site, does not permit a personal horse operation or a 1 unit dwelling as of right. So in the event that the development agreement is discharged, the existing uses would not be permitted as of right, and they would be subject to restrictions which put the owner of existing units at a disadvantage. These restrictions include the requirement for new development agreements if they wish to expand the existing uses, and the potential to not be allowed to reconstruct the existing structures if they burn down or are damaged past the point of 75%. So in order to avoid putting the owners of the existing uses at a disadvantage within the R5 zone, the text amendment is proposed. Okay, so moving into policy and the proposed amendment. So under the current Neighbourhood Comprehensive Development Zone, R5 zone, the existing uses that are allowed are agricultural uses and forestry uses. So in order to avoid disadvantaging owners of existing uses in the R5 zone, the text amendment on the right-hand side of the screen, or existing uses, is proposed to be added to what is permitted through the zone. So in terms of the enabling policy, Municipal Planning Strategy Policy 5.3.2 states that Council shall amend the text of the land use bylaw provided the proposal meets the general criteria for amending the land use bylaw set out in section 5.3, development agreements, and amending the land use bylaw. So looking at policy 5.3.7, it states that Council shall be satisfied that the proposal to amend the land use bylaw or enter into a development agreement, point A, is consistent with the intent of the municipal planning strategy. Point B is not in conflict with any municipal or provincial programs, bylaws, or regulations in effect in the municipality. And point C is not premature or inappropriate due to point I, the municipal or village costs related to the proposal. So in respect to point A of policy 5.3.7, which looks at the intent of the municipal planning strategy, Policy 3.1.2 states that Council shall establish the following residential zones in the land use bylaw. And point D relates to the Comprehensive Neighbourhood Development Zone. So lands located in this zone are intended for integrated and comprehensive planning of new large-scale neighbourhoods by development agreement. Further to this, we have Policy 3.1.12, which relates to the uses allowed within the R5 zone. So Council shall permit within the Comprehensive Neighbourhood Development Zone a limited amount of as-of-right development that is not expected to prevent future comprehensive development, including but not limited to forestry uses, agriculture, and a limited expansion of existing uses. So as we can see, this is a map of the county. The R5 zone was introduced through the adoption of the Municipal Planning Strategy and the Land Use Bylaw in 2019. Across the county, we have 1,953 acres of land that's zone R5, which can be seen in purple, and they are spread across all of the growth areas. Well, not all of them, but most of the growth areas. When the new documents were put together, the land zone for R5 was chosen for its ability to accommodate larger scale neighbourhood development. As such, the zone was generally applied to large areas of undeveloped land. Some of the land is currently being used for agricultural or forestry uses. In addition, there are a small number of existing legal uses located on R5 land that are not permitted as of right. So this includes 10 dwellings, the personal horse operation, and a school. So over those 1,953 acres, we have agriculture, forestry, vacant land, 10 houses, a school, and a personal horse operation. So the application does not propose any development. Proposed text amendment would not allow any new uses or new dwellings on the land. It only seeks to allow existing legal uses to be permitted as of right within the zone. Okay, so further to this, when considering the intent of the visions, goals, and objectives regarding settlement and growth centres, Municipal Planning Strategy Policy 2.1.7 states that Council shall permit within each growth centre a range of land uses that may include existing agricultural, residential, commercial, and industrial uses. So, in respect to point B of Policy 5.3.7, the proposed text amendment does not conflict with any municipal or provincial bylaws, programs, or regulations, and there is no cost expected to the municipality as a result of the application, so staff do not consider it inappropriate. So once again, we had a public information meeting for this application on the 30th of April 2024. The application was presented to the Planning Advisory Committee in September of this year, and then following that at first reading, it was held on October 1st, 2024. And prior to this meeting, properties within 500 feet of the site were notified and notices were sent to all villages within the municipality. And from there, I will open the floor back up to Mr. Mayor for questions of clarification.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. Just to explain to the public once again, council sits in a quasi-judicial capacity for public hearings. And so it doesn't engage in debate and doesn't argue with the presenter. It is necessary, however, that everyone has a good sense of what's being presented so we can go to questions for clarification if there's any misunderstandings of any part by any councillor. So, is there any questions from any members of council? I see no councillor, so if that's the case, then we'll move on to the public. Are there any members of the public that wish to address council on this matter? If so, please come to the mic, state your name and your address for the record, and as a reminder, there is a maximum 5-minute time limit per speaker.
Ogilvie area.
I'm sorry?
My name is Zachary Crockett. I'm from the Ogilvie area.
Could you be more specific on your address, please?
I live off grid, so I got a post office box if you want that. I only have one concern. Does this include windmills? You mentioned commercial. I'm just wondering if it includes windmills.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no development is proposed as part of this application. It's purely an administrative change to the text of the bylaw.
And commercial could mean that in the future there could be an application for windmill construction?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the change is to allow existing uses, so no new uses are proposed or allowed as part of that text amendment, and any future development of windmills would have to go through the standard development application process and would be subject to the requirements and regulations of the zone, the current zone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other members of the public that would like to ask any questions? Are there any questions of clarification by any councillor to the presenter? All right, we're going to move on to the adjournment of the public hearing. So there being no other matters to come before the public hearing, I declare this public hearing adjourned. I also note for the public's information that this item is on the agenda of the council directly following this hearing for second reading. You are all welcome to stay. So now we are into a council meeting, and I would ask again that for sake of the minutes that all councillors are here and present, and we will move on and for a motion to approve the agenda, please. Moved by Councillor McPherson, second by Councillor Best. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm used to the old system here. We'll ask you to Press your button, please. All right. Motion to approve the agenda approved. So we'll move on to 3. Disclosure of conflict of interest. It's an opportunity for council members to declare if they have any conflicts of interest for any of the agenda items applicable. We'll move on then. We're looking for a approval of the minutes for the October the 1st, 2024. The new council is allowed to approve the minutes of the previous council. So would someone like to make a motion to approve those minutes, please? Okay. Moved by Councillor Lutz, second by Councillor Allen, and we shall now vote on the motion to approve those minutes. Please press your button. Got it right that time. Okay, motion to approve the minutes is approved. We'll move on to business arising from the minutes. Is there any business arising from the October the 1st minutes? Seeing none, we will now move on to the next part of our meeting, selection of deputy mayor. So I would ask our municipal clerk, Yanni, to come forward and take us through that step-by-step process, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, Council. I will be presenting to you on the selection of a deputy mayor. As is indicated in the Municipal Government Act, Section 16, Council shall select one of its council members to be the deputy mayor of the council, and prior to the selection of a deputy mayor, the council shall determine the term of office of the deputy mayor. So that will be the first order of business following my presentation. There's more information on the process for the selection of a deputy mayor outlined in Bylaw 64, which is our meetings and procedure bylaw. Sections 2, 3, and 4. The council shall elect a deputy mayor at the first meeting after the election of the council. The election of the deputy mayor shall be by ballot, where only one person is nominated and nominations have been closed by resolution. The chair shall declare that person elected to the office by acclamation. So if there's only one nomination, that person will be declared elected by acclamation, and nominations need to be closed by motion. Section 5 states that where there are more than 2 persons nominated and no nominee receives on the first ballot a majority of the votes, the name of the nominee who receives the least number of votes shall be dropped from the ballot and council votes again. If after the second vote there is still no majority, there will be one additional vote, and if the vote at that point is still tied, the clerk determines the deputy mayor from the 2 leading candidates by lot as provided in the Municipal Elections Act, and that basically comes down to drawing a name from the hat. So just to clarify, the process tonight is that first council determines the term of office of the deputy mayor by motion. At that point the mayor calls for nominations. Anyone who's nominated then is asked to accept or decline the nomination. Councillors can nominate other councillors. Councillors can also nominate themselves. At some point, the mayor will call 3 times if there are any further nominations. If there are no further nominations, the motion will close. There will be a motion to close nominations. And nominees will then have the opportunity, if they wish, to speak for 5 minutes each, and that will be in the order of the nominations as they have been made. So again, if only one person is nominated, the chair declares that person selected by acclamation and calls for a motion to appoint the deputy mayor for the term set by council. If there's more than one nominee, council votes by ballot. So that's vote number 1. I also want to note that nominees can vote for themselves. I then collect all the ballots and count them. If there's a majority vote at that time, the deputy mayor is declared selected by motion for the term set by council. Oops, I think I skipped one. So again, there's a second vote if there's no majority. At that point, the name of the nominee who received the least number of votes will be dropped from the ballot. If there's still no majority, the nominee with the least number of votes is dropped from the ballot, and then there's one additional vote. That's vote number 3. And then if there's a majority vote at that point, the deputy mayor is declared selected by motion for the term set by council. And if there's still no majority, I then have to draw a name from the 2 leading candidates. And at that point, the chair calls for a motion to appoint the deputy mayor for the term set by council. So in total, there will be 4 motions. The first one is just to receive this briefing for information. The second, as I mentioned, is for council to set the term of office. It can be 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. Then motion number 3 is that nominations for the position of deputy mayor close. And the final motion will be that municipal council appoint a councillor as deputy mayor for the term set by council. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions of the clerk, please? I guess not. So I guess we'll move on to the first part of the someone to please approve the briefing that was presented to you this evening by the clerk. Moved by Councillor Sappington, second by Councillor Harding. So we'll ask everyone to press their button. Okay, the briefing was approved. The next item on the agenda will be for the term of the deputy mayor, and I would ask someone to make a motion on what term they feel. Councillor McPherson.
Of the term for deputy mayor be for a period of 1 year.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that? Second by Councillor Harding. Okay, any further discussion on that? Okay. Somebody like to call for the question then? Question being called. Right, everyone press your button. Okay, I declare the motion approved, and the term of the deputy mayor shall be 1 year. Now we'll move on to the recommendation for the deputy mayor. So I would ask any councillors to nominate someone for deputy mayor. Thank you. Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to nominate Emily Lutz, Councillor Emily Lutz.
Okay. And Councillor Lutz, will you accept the nomination?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any further nominations? Councillor Gates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to nominate Bob Best.
Okay. Will you accept the nomination, Councillor Best? Yes, I will. I'll get you to turn your mic on so we can record that.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Is there any further nominations? Councillor Hiltz.
Beckford.
Okay. Councillor Peckford, will you accept the nomination, please?
I do, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further nominations? Is there any further nominations? For the third and final time, is there any further nominations? I declare the nominations closed, and now we will have an election. Thank you. Excuse me, Councillor Lutz, I'll chair the meeting, okay? Yeah, thanks. Would anyone like to do up to a 5-minute speech that have been nominated? Councillor Lutz.
Thank you, Mayor. Apologies, I was only remarking that it would have been, I thought the process was to do the speeches before we voted, but now that we voted, I don't see a need to do the speeches, unless the other two would like to.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess that's a good point. If any member of council feels slighted that we should redo the vote after they've had a chance to speak, that would be proper procedure. So, all right. So she's going to go shred these, and we'll start again. And my apologies. So while she's shredding those, I'm going to, we have 3 nominees. I'm going to ask if any of the 3 nominees would like to make up to a 5-minute speech. Councillor Lutz.
I just did Councillor Best and Councillor Peckford wish to make speeches? I don't want to be the only one that makes a speech.
I would suggest, Councillor Lutz, you worry about yourself, and then we'll let them decide whether they want to.
Okay.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Okay. Then at this point, I would just say thank you to Councillor Allen for the nomination, and I appreciate that. My thought would be that as a returning councillor, with someone who has working knowledge of the current projects that the council and the county is working on, some of which are pretty large and consequential projects that that it would be nice to have someone who's been on council in the prior year in the deputy mayor position, simply to provide some continuity and have some of that background knowledge in the case of the mayor's absence. So I do enjoy chairing the meetings, and I think I do a good job, and I'm handy when the checks need to be signed. And yeah, I do appreciate the nomination from Councillor Allen, and yeah, thank you for the time to speak.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lutz. Councillor Best.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Gates, putting my name forward. I've been a councillor here for 8 years before, and I'm very knowledgeable what's taking place here. And at this time in my life, I have lots and lots of time and effort to put forward as a deputy. I do not have a full-time job anymore. I can come and go when I want at the Apple Dome, so I have tons of time, and I appreciate your support around the table here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Best. Councillor Peckford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank Councillor Hiltz for the nomination. I think right now it's important that we bring the county together, and being the councillor from the most westerly part of the county, I believe that having representative from this area will help unify the county together, and that would be my main objective as deputy mayor. I'm hoping that as a new councillor I can bring in a fresh new perspective and help champion some new ideas and some new growth to the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Peckford. Now we can vote. Thank you. The results of the deputy mayor is that we have 2 councillors tied, and those 2 councillors are Riley Peckford and Bob Best, and Councillor Emily Lutz, who has the least amount of votes, will be dropped from the vote, and I guess we're going to have another election for deputy mayor. So I don't believe we need to do another 5-minute speech or anything along that lines. I think we need to proceed, but apparently that is according to the rules here. The way it works is if there's 3 people running, and the two are tied, and one with the least amount of votes, the third person, his name gets dropped off. So we now will have an election for the deputy mayor with 2 individuals, Councillor Riley Peckford and Councillor Bob Best. The clerk has provided me with the results of the election, and a majority of votes for Councillor Riley Peckford. Congratulations. So, do we need a motion to approve Riley Peckford as deputy mayor? Is that okay? Is that how we proceed? Moved by Councillor Lutz, second by Councillor Hiltz. Okay, all those in favor, press your button. What? Okay, me too. Okay. I declare then Riley Peckford deputy mayor. The majority of votes. Congratulations. And do we need a motion to destroy the ballots? We don't. Okay. Things have changed a bit in the last 10 years. And hopefully I'll get up to speed eventually. And I want to congratulate those that put their name forward, and no different than all the people that ran for municipal council. They should be congratulated, because it's great to see people that are interested and are up for the challenge. Thank you, and again, congratulations, Councillor Peckford, Deputy Mayor Peckford. All right, we'll move on. The Planning Advisory Committee recommendations, and we would call our Director of Planning and Inspections, Trish Javerick, who will read the motions. This is normally done by the Planning Advisory Committee chair, but because we haven't got a new chair yet, so we'll ask Trish Javerick to do that for us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first motion before you tonight will be up on the screen in a moment, and it relates to the text amendment that we had the public hearing for earlier this evening. This motion reads that Municipal Council gives second reading to the amendment to the text of the land use bylaw to permit existing uses within the Comprehensive Neighborhood Development R5 zone as described in Appendix B of the report dated September 10th, 2024.
Thank you. Too many papers here. Okay, so we have two motions there. So the next public hearing date will be determined. So are we looking for a motion now on that? Yes. And so would a member of council like to make that motion, please? Moved by Councillor McPherson and second by Councillor Best. Any further discussion? No further discussion? Okay, I'll ask the members of council to press their vote and vote accordingly. Okay, motion approved. Now, the second motion, is that for the next hearing date? No. Okay. The next motion is for municipal council to approve the discharge of the development agreement registered August 26th. And so do we have a member of council to make that motion? Councillor Gates, second by Councillor Sappington. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, please press your button. I keep forgetting about that. Okay. Motion carried unanimously, and as stated, there will not be a public hearing in December. Okay? Without any further comments from members of council, we'll move on to number 8, council appointments to the nominating committee, and I would ask the clerk to come forward again and make her presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the second item I will be presenting on tonight is councillor appointments to the nominating committee. So just as background, the nominating committee is a committee of council, as there are several. It's governed by bylaw 54, the nominating committee bylaw. The nominating committee comprises the mayor and 3 councillors. Councillor appointments to the nominating committee are to be dealt with at the regular council meeting in November each year, as stated in bylaw 54. And also stated in the bylaw is that the committee shall file its report at the next meeting of council, so that will be the December council meeting. Bylaw 54, the nominating committee bylaw, offers council 2 options. Council may elect 3 councillors to be appointed to the nominating committee, or council may authorize the mayor to appoint 3 councillors. So if council chooses option 1, council appoints the 3 councillors. Those appointments need to be made tonight, and they need to be made by motion. If more than 3 councillors are interested in sitting on the nominating committee, we will be voting by ballot again. If council chooses option 2, the mayor appoints the 3 councillors. Council would authorize the mayor to do so by motion tonight. And if council chooses option 2, the mayor appoints 3 councillors. That can either happen during the meeting tonight or as soon as possible following this meeting. Later this week, we will be sending information on all of the boards and committees that councillors are appointed to all of the councillors. Councillors will then be asked to submit their preferences. The nominating committee then needs to meet as soon as possible to make recommendations to council, and the nominating committee would take into consideration the preferences that have been indicated by you, any experience you might have, and as well workload. As you can probably imagine, some boards and committees are more work than others. Some committees meet monthly, others only quarterly. There are even a couple that only meet once a year, so those things will be taken into consideration by the nominating committee. So at the December 3rd council meeting, council would then appoint councillors as well as citizen members to boards and committees based on the recommendations from the nominating committee. And I should point out that all committee appointments are made annually. So 2 motions that will be required. Again, a motion to just receive this briefing for information. And the other motion depends on the option that council chooses, either to appoint 3 councillors to the nominating committee for a 1-year term, or to authorize the mayor to appoint 3 councillors to the nominating committee for a 1-year term. And again, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions to the clerk on that? If not, can I ask a member of council to make a motion to approve the briefing, please? Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Harding. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask everyone to press their button. Okay, motion carried. Thank you. And now I would ask a member of council to make a motion on which preference you would like as far as picking the nominating committee. Okay. Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move that the mayor select the three councillors.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that? Second by Deputy Mayor Peckford. Okay. So we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion on that? No? Okay, I would ask that we vote by pressing your button. Okay, motion carried. Thank you. I would make one quick comment before we move on to the next agenda item. Those people that are interested in whatever different committees that you'd like to be on, if you could have that on my desk or forward it to me as soon as possible so that I can go over that. Obviously, if several people are looking for the same thing, I would like for the three people that are going to sit on the committee along with myself to have some idea in advance what committees you would like to be on. Okay, so that would be convenient too, and give me a day or so, and I'll review, put the committee together. But it would be nice that everyone here provide maybe their first, second, and third choice or something along that lines to get some idea what committees you'd like to be on. Okay, thank you. Now, unless there's any questions on that, we'll move on to number 9. Engineering and Public Works. Louis Pearson, Manager of Engineering, is going to present both items.
Good evening, Mr. Bear. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to welcome all the council members for their first meeting and congratulate the new Deputy Mayor Peckford. I'm going to have some support setting up my presentation. The first presentation this evening, is to award a contract 2437. It's in relation for a 1-year contract for winter maintenance services for the municipality. The municipality owns more than 25 kilometers of roads and more than 18 kilometers of sidewalks. We maintain the responsibility for the winter maintenance of this infrastructure. On October 8th, we had 2 bidders submit completed tenders for this 1-year winter maintenance contract. The duration of the contract will be from the 15th of November until April 30th of next year. The duration of this one-year contract is to better align with the winter maintenance contract for the municipal campus. That contract will be renewed next year. Previously, this contract was awarded for 4-year term. The roads and sidewalks have been broken out into several different service zones. They're included in the tender from Zone 1 through 14. It's been structured like this to allow bidders to bid on more zones, as some zones include sidewalks, some zones include strictly driveways for sewer treatment plants, and some zones include a range of roads across different areas of the county. One bidder has submitted pricing for all 14 zones. The second bidder submitted pricing for only 9 of the zones. That resulted in a sole bidder for 35% of the completed tendered contract. There's an evaluation for this tender process, as there's some weighted criteria for the type of equipment that's utilized for this type of work. It also takes into account the submitted pricing. We're looking to maintain a certain level of service as well as get the best dollar value for the submitted bid. So as you can see up on the screen, our municipal GIS team puts together and supports us with mapping to help visualize these zones. We have Zone 3. It represents a portion of the contract for the driveways and entrances to 2 sewer treatment plants. There's also zones that include sidewalks near school zones and other localized rural areas that are maintained. The winter maintenance contract is funded by the municipality's operating budget. Each zone has its own budget account and is based on historical costs. Based on historical data, this year's contract will be within the allotted snow removal budget for the coming year, 2024-25. Additionally, the Nova Scotia Provincial Roadway Authority is in negotiations with the municipality to finalize some details for the provincial road swap for the winter maintenance. There's an exchange and a swap for ensuring there's adequate level of service plowing on roads owned by the municipality as well as by the province. The recommendation tonight is that the municipal council authorize the chief administrative officer to enter the winter maintenance service agreements with the below listed companies for the mentioned zones and award it for the duration of November 15th, 2024 to April 30th, 2025. Rick Balser Welding to be awarded zones 1 through 5, inclusive of zone 8, 10, and 13. And IJ Corcombs Excavating Limited to be awarded zones 6 through 7, inclusive 9, 11, 12, and 14. Are there any questions?
Questions to Mr. Pearson? Councillor Best.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to you. On this one-year contract, we always do a one-year contract?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to you, Councillor Best. It is strictly as this year to better align with the municipal campus. Last year's, I guess, completion of the contract was a duration from 2020 to 2024. It was a 4-year contract.
So can you, through you, Mr. Mayor, can you explain to me why we didn't go back to the original one? If I was in a contracting business doing snow removal, I would love to have a 4-year contract, maybe buy a new machine and help pay for 4 years.
Councillor Best, please don't enter into debate with the staff person.
Thank you.
Ask questions,
Okay.
but you're entering into the line of debate.
Well, it's always been a 4-year contract, and, you know, I think my personal opinion, if you get a 4-year contract, you get a better deal, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Best. If you're done, I'll get you to turn your light off. Thank you. Councillor Gates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, question is, for clarification, was the contract a point system?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, there was some weighted criteria based on their submitted list of equipment. We had that assessed by some municipal representatives. That, I believe, was weighted 40-60 on their submitted pricing as well.
Councillor Lutz.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, just to follow up on Councillor Best's question, will the next contract be going back to 4 years, or will they continue to be 1-year contracts?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe the intention would to be resume multi-year contracts. I know the previous winter maintenance contracts, some were 3 years, some were 4. I would agree that there's a benefit to maintaining a level of service across the years and not having to go through the tender process each and every year. We would most likely resume multi-year contracts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions or comments before we vote on this? I'd just like to make one comment. The Corcom's excavating is not related to this Corcom.
No. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it should be I.J. Corcom's
Thanks,
welding.
Tim.
Thanks.
But- okay.
Apologize.
No problem. All right. Do we have a member of council that would like to make the motion, please, to approve that? Get to press your button.
Move that we
Councillor
accept the recommendation for winter snow removal as presented by the staff member, please.
Thank you. We have a seconder for that. Second by Councillor Allen. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by pressing your button. Okay, motion carried. Thank you. And now we'll move on to engineering consultant standing offers. Please, again, Mr. Pearson.
Everybody's able to hear me, hopefully. All right. This presentation will be on a non-binding request for proposals regarding engineering consulting for the municipality. There was 2 NRFPs. One was for fixed plant infrastructure and one was for linear infrastructure. This NFRP was looking to create a standing offer list for engineering services. The importance of ensuring proficient qualifications from an engineering support is directly related to the success of the projects that they design. The utilization of policy 04-10, engineering service procurement policy, provides guidelines for the seeking service support for the municipality. The tenders closed on October 10th, 2024, with 4 to 6 bids received from different proponents. The fixed plant infrastructure tender was requesting engineering and designs related to water treatment, sewer treatment, stormwater management, network infrastructure, and municipal parks. This same non-binding request for proposal would be applicable for studies relating to climate change initiatives, facility optimization, and/or expansion required by the municipality on these fixed plant infrastructure. The second NFRP was a request for engineering and design of items including water transmission and distribution, the sanitary sewer collection, including transmission, forced and pump sewer, stormwater collection and transmission, roadway, sidewalk, pathway, trails, and other active transportation systems. These submitted proposals for individual events were considered for pre-qualification and evaluated based on the following criteria. On their technical submission, their proponent experience, including resumes, their staff resourcing, value-added services. Value-added services could be specific types of studies, specific specialty engineer or design experience. They were also evaluated on their project management style and methodology, their overall quality of the submitted proposal, and a service cost breakdown. The top 3 scoring proponents for each of the 2 NRFP events, linear infrastructure and fixed plant infrastructure, were selected for recommendation to the council after approval of their pre-qualification of their services. The services would be performed starting November 5th until the contract end on March 31st, 2026. During the term of the contract, these services are required for future projects. These 3 approved proponents will be contacted with a call-up as they will be allowed to bid on these specific projects. So it creates a list for us to use pre-qualified proponents rather than sorting through a multitude of them. The engineering services are to be allocated through the operating or capital budgets as per projects get approved in the council's approved budget. In the upcoming 2025-26 approved budget, it will support future projects identified in the 5-year capital plan. Engagement, this NRFP and these projects are publicly tendered by the municipality through the bids and tenders webpage. The first recommendation for the council is to approve the following 3 engineering consultants for tender 2420, fixed plant infrastructure design and engineering services, CBCL Limited, Dillon Consulting Limited, and Stantec Consulting Limited. The second recommendation for tonight is for municipal council to approve the following 3 engineering consultants for tender 2438, linear infrastructure, design and engineering services, Design Point Engineering and Surveying Limited, Globe Corporation, and EXP Services and EXP Architects. Are there any questions?
Okay, any member of council have any questions? Councillor Gates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm just going to ask for clarification. Were these based on point system for evaluation as well?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to you, Councillor Gates, yes. They were evaluated on the 7 criteria. Each of those criteria had percentage weights. One of the tenders included 6 different proponents. Multiply that by 7 different, I guess, evaluated parts and then weighted through that. So there are multiple proponents that did not have a high enough score to be inclusive of this consulted list.
Thank you. Councillor McPherson.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, my apologies. I think I may have missed this on the first couple of slides. Can you tell me briefly again what the difference is between fixed plant services and linear services? I'm not understanding the difference between the 2 contracts.
Certainly. Through Mr. Mayor. So a recap, I guess in plain English, would be fixed plant infrastructure is going to be treatment structures and I guess gated in infrastructure that is the end destination for water, sewer, stormwater, and it will include municipal parks. Typically they're fixed structures. There's no real transmission. It's an endpoint for a lot of sewer, water, stormwater. Linear infrastructure is going to include the piping networks that transmit sewer, water. They're going to move it from one place to another. Typically, this type of infrastructure is under roadways. The type of experience for linear infrastructure also might relate to the roadways and sidewalks and how trails work and how transportation and transmission works.
Okay. Any other questions of council? Hearing none, would member of council like to approve the first recommendation, please? Moved by Councillor Gates, second by Councillor Best. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? No? Okay. I will ask everyone to please vote. Okay, motion carried. Now we're up to the second one. Any further questions on that? If not, would a member of council like to move the second recommendation? Councillor Best moved, second by Councillor Harding. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll ask everyone on council to please vote. Okay, second motion carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Pearson. Now we will move on. Is there any other business to come before council? Is there any other business to come before council? Seeing no one bringing anything forward, we'll move on to the comments from the public period. If there's a member of the public that's present, if you wish to come to the podium to provide comments, We would ask the speaker to state their name for the record, and the time limit for each speaker is 2 minutes. With unanimous consent of council, then we could extend that time, but right now it's 2 minutes. So invite
Hi, it's Zachary Crockett again.
thank you.
You're welcome. I'm just listening to the presentation just given, and there's a lot of, seems to be wide open language. And is there more detailed information available?
That's a pretty thick agenda.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Can I get that at some point from you, Mr. Mayor?
I don't see why not. I think any member of the public is permitted that, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Good evening. Una Proudfoot, 2657 Pinecrest. I actually have a few questions, so wondering if I can pose the questions, understanding that answers that may not be available this evening. And they're about process. The first one is just out of curiosity. On the election of the deputy mayor, ballots were counted and then a motion. Is there opportunity for that motion to have been voted against? Right, so you've done the ballots, you've counted the ballots, and then there's a motion for deputy mayor. So just curious as to whether or not those motions could have been in the negative, and then what would have happened? Question number one. And then just on the appointment of committees, so just to confirm, the nominating committee, it was decided this evening that the mayor will appoint the 3 council members to the nominating committee.
Correct.
Thank you. That was a question. And that will be done by December 3rd, or December 3rd is the date for all the committees to be chosen?
There wasn't any date put on it, but what I've asked is all members of council to put their request for committees they'd like to be on, and I will be appointing the 3 members as soon as possible.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For further clarification, so a citizen who's interested in sitting on a committee, those selections will be made after the nominating committee
Correct.
is appointed, and is there a timeline on that?
I would refer that to the clerk. Is there a timeline on that?
Thank you.
While she's
Thank
looking
you,
at
Mr. Mayor. Through you to Ms. Proudfoot. So citizen member appointments will also happen at the December 3rd council meeting. That is, if there are any applications for current vacancies. We're just posting vacancies tomorrow, so there will be a deadline probably of in about 10 days. And we're hoping to get some applications, and if we do, then there will be appointments made at the December 3rd council as well, based on recommendations from the nominating committee.
And last question, and thank you for your entertainment of my questions. Is a citizen able to approach committee members?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Proudfoot, I don't see a reason why that couldn't happen. If you are interested in any of the committees as a citizen member, you could certainly ask anyone that's currently on the committee to find out a little bit more. You're also welcome to contact myself, whichever you prefer.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you.
all good questions, and thank you for your interest. It's great to see citizens want to become beyond these committees, because we certainly need that. Thank you. Okay, I don't see anyone else coming forward, so we'll move on to the next part of the meeting. So at this time, I would ask a member of council to make a motion for a 5-minute break, and we come back into a closed session after the break. Moved by Councillor Gates, second by Councillor Allen. Any further discussion? No further discussion. I'll ask everyone to vote, please. Okay, motion carried, so we will now have a 5-minute break and then we'll come back into a closed session. Thank you. Thank you, members of the public.